Emotional intelligence is our ability to be self-aware, self-regulate, have empathy, and then utilize that to motivate and have social intelligence, essentially, with the people that we work with, articulate effectively, communicate effectively, and then just have a broadened understanding. So our conversations today were really good. Everybody was really engaged. They were into it. We were able to apply these learnings to what they do on the job. We talked a little bit about Maslow's hierarchy today. So it's where people struggle unintentionally and then where we struggle because we just get in our own way. So in Maslow's case, as we know, we progress from basic needs of shelter to security and social and human belonging, love and ego, etc. And then some things come into our lives that cause us to go down a notch, right? The pandemic is a perfect example of that. When you're fighting for your life, you aren't worried about how you're coming across in an email, right? When you're struggling to feed your family, you care less about your impact or self-regulation of your anger. I think that depending on where we are in our ability to reflect and actualize allows us to be a more elevated leader and human. And that's something that we want to consider and take into consideration when we're working in emotional intelligence. Is not every employee is in the same place in their life, in their understanding and their progression. So we talked about that. So some people struggle depending on where they're at there. The other side is sometimes we have that place in our life where we get in our own way, right? And it could be because we can't stand working with so-and-so. It could be because I'm so tired of doing board reports. It could be any of those triggers that create an environment where I am no longer as effective as I could be. It could be insecurity, fear, jealousy, anger, or positive emotions, too much energy, too much engagement, or distractions, etc. All of that allows us to just do a moment of reflection and say, how can we improve awareness, reflection, regulation, and then empathy moving forward? Sometimes when we think emotions, we think, when I cry, because I watched that one dog commercial, with the song Angel, Sarah McLachlan. But emotions are so much broader than that. Emotions can be everything that comes into play day to day. It could be fears, it could be stressors, it could be excitement, empowerment. All of that is part of our overall emotional package. And so emotions come into play in everything that we do: decision making, team building, communication, networking, presentation skills, overall understanding with the staff, our rapport building, our breaking down silos, change management, projects getting implemented and executed effectively, our service levels in the branches, the trickle down, leadership, all of it. It's across the board. It's because it is the human beings and the brains and hearts of those human beings and how they interact with one another and handle themselves and are able to articulate and be. Taking a moment to just make it a priority. The simplest thing we talked about today is put time in your calendar. Schedule 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever that looks like for our own self-development, if emotional intelligence is something that we want to do. And take a second to reflect. The best time that I improve on my emotional intelligence, or like to at least make a focus on improving, is in reflection, is like a post-mortem type thing. Something occurred, it didn't happen, I didn't react the way I wanted to, or I was too emotional or felt too vulnerable, and I'm able to go back and say, why? Why did those emotions happen? What caused me to do that? Label the emotions the best that I can, with a broadened vocabulary, really dig into that and reflect and then say, what could I do next time? How could I prepare myself to be more effective if that were to come up again? And so that way I'm at least going in more scripted in those moments to help me through. Because emotions a lot of times will get us to where we aren't able to think through things. We get out of that kind of analytical brain.